What's going on, everyone? This is your astrology horoscope for the weekend of July 8th and 9th, 2023. I'm astrologer Alex Skiles, and welcome to the Moonbase. Thank you all so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Hope you all had a great week. It's going to be a great weekend. Moon's still in Pisces. Yesterday we had amazing aspects from the moon trining the sun, sextiling Jupiter, sextiling Uranus, the moon trining Mercury. So, we're definitely coming into the weekend, definitely with our emotions feeling, like they've been reciprocated and understood. And, the emotional kind of conversations that we've had, they may have been challenging, but have really got to the heart of things. And emotions that needed to be expressed have, come across much easier with the moon trining Mercury in Cancer. And yeah, it's just definitely been a much easier way to express our emotions, and definitely with things that have been confusing. This moon in Pisces definitely brings up a lot of things that could be confusing or where we just haven't been sure, unclear about. And today, waking up, the moon is going to be conjunct Neptune. And this is definitely bringing up a lot of things that we've been confused about. So, yeah, this is the first time the moon is going to meet with Neptune since Neptune's been retrograde. And Neptune's only moved 1 minute in a week. Neptune went retrograde last Friday. So it's been 8 whole days since Neptune has been in its retrograde motion. So the moon conjunct Neptune today, it's definitely, we can feel a little spaced out. We can feel a little neurotic and, just a little, just not here on Earth. It's a great day to just really go inward and focus on our spiritual health and definitely things that have been unclear are starting to really show themselves, because that's what Neptune does when it goes retrograde. All the things that spiritual high vibration that Neptune emits, where we could just kind of get lost in it and be a little, far out, man. Like that's that Neptune energy. I think the moon meeting with Neptune today, with its, with Neptune being retrograde, it's definitely just kind of like being like, all right, like this is where I haven't been paying attention. This is where I've been putting things off. I just haven't been realistic about this particular thing, or things that have really, where you fall into patterns and loops that just you find yourself hard to break, like emotions coming up that reflect those certain kinds of things are really showing themselves today. And, it could be a very healing thing, especially, the moon and Neptune are still somewhat trining Mercury. Mercury is gonna trine Neptune exactly here in a couple days, so we're getting ready for that, which is very healing energy. I think our spiritual vibration is just very in sync with our thoughts and how we think, and just how we feel about things intuitively. Is just, there's this mental and spiritual relationship that seems to be very supportive and working together really well in these moments when Mercury and trines Neptune. And with the moon there today, it's definitely giving us an opportunity to really cast a shadow and illuminate these things that we've just have put off, that really can bring us into victim states and, just getting caught in that woe is me, or I'm not good enough. Like, I feel like we're having conversations with this Mercury trining Neptune, trining the moon. Like we're having conversations that it's just like, what? Like, we're if you're on the other end of like feeling stuck, I feel like there's a lot of support coming your way of people saying, you know what, it's like you are beautiful, you are great, like you you are a wonderful person to be around, like this is that kind of energy where we're able to channel like how we feel and how we think about things and how we think about our feelings towards the people we really care about. This Mercury in Cancer, like we're really focused on our very personal, close, intimate relationships, particularly with our family and how we think about our family, or these close bonds that are familial, or friendships that are almost like family. It's like these emotions are reciprocated much easier with this transit, and definitely in a spiritual way, and it could seem like everything is um, meant to be. This is that, like, oh, that was meant to be. Like, oh, that conversation was meant to be, or I met this person and that was meant to be, or I was thinking about you like right 5 minutes before you called me. Almost psychic energy. This is very potent on Saturday. So this is really amazing. And then the moon's gonna come on and sextile Pluto. So definitely like our unconscious like desires are really in sync with our emotions and how we're healing our unconscious. Um, with this Pluto and Capricorn retrograde, I mean, there's a lot of deep rooted unconscious stuff that just keeps surfacing. It's going to keep surfacing over the next year. I mean, really, 2025, we'll be in Pluto and Aquarius for good. But I mean, definitely today, like a lot of unconscious stuff that comes back to the structure of our life, or like the structure of our families. I mean, it's definitely bringing up a lot of do or die energy that Pluto can bring up. And like with this moon in Pisces sextiling that, it's like it's supporting um, that energy of just like learning to let go. Like, it's okay to just let that die off, or like if things are dying off, like at the same time, like things are birthing or rebirthing. The moon sextile Pluto is like things that you thought were not worth it anymore, seem to like have a new life. They take form in a whole new way where you just perceive it in a whole different way, and that Neptune is pretty close to a sextile too. I mean, it's not exact, and it will get there. Pluto is going to retrograde back to 27 degrees. So um, they're going to be close. I mean, Neptune and Pluto have been dancing with this sextile here. So, but I think what also is very important that here in the next couple days too is that we're going to have Mercury opposite Pluto. And we'll talk more about that later. But, this is like, we're being comfortable with things that we just have to shed off, or that have to die off for new things to be born, and we're learning to get comfortable with that, because whether we like it or not, like that's how we climb the stages of evolution of the next um, version of who we're going to be, or the next layer of what our soul is supposed to become, because Pluto represents the evolutionary journey that we're on, of the soul that inhabits this body. So definitely the sextile and this Mercury opposition to Pluto, the sextile from the moon. It's just really learning to be okay with these things, and learning to be okay that, like, things metamorphosize, things change over time, our beliefs change, power structures change, nothing stays the same. And we're definitely all feeling that in a very deep way. We're really going to be feeling it as the nodes come into Aries and Libra very soon. That, what, like there is no going back, and that's okay. That is absolutely the evolutionary necessity. It is completely necessary for this to occur, for this to die off, to be reborn for the next stage of evolution. So Yeah, I mean, this is very interesting dynamic between our empathy and like just that like uh very bold, not harsh, but just like accepting deep things, but like also like empathizing with that, and that we all go through that. We all go through these transformations. Pluto transits are fucking tough. Like it's very hard to face your own unconscious, and gain that awareness. And I feel like that is completely necessary for evolving to a higher plane to really serve other people because that's what we're really here to do. We're here to serve, and if we're taking care of ourselves, we're serving ourselves, we're doing what's best for ourselves, then we're capable to serve other people. So, yeah, this is pretty wild. So, um, let's go to Sunday here. And the moon's coming into Aries on Sunday. So, definitely by the time that moon comes off of Neptune, going into the afternoon on Saturday, like the moon's going to be a little void off course. So, we're going to catch a little break from all this heavy Pisces energy and this loopy, spacey, spiritual Neptune energy. Like we were definitely like evolving spiritually through that energy, but like we're gonna catch a little bit of a break when the moon first comes into Aries, but then we're also preparing for the moon to conjunct Chiron, which like this can bring up a lot of like emotional realizations about like our self identity and where we're not comfortable in our identity, or it's like like I'm ugly, like I need to change something about myself, like I'm feeling not pretty or whatever, and it's not really true. Like it's really just a projection from some other place, and it's not always the truth. It a lot of these wounds that come up with Chiron and Aries towards our self identity and how we see ourselves, I think aren't always our own program, our own default program. This is kind of like a program that we are deconstructing here. It's definitely with this Pluto and Capricorn. I mean, we are deconstructing that program of, being caught in the muck of being negative about our self identity. And at the same time, definitely with this moon coming up, it's like, all right, like how can I really focus energy on healing those traumatic wounds that tend to come up with Chiron, And I feel like, when we do feel hurt or wounded, that like, it's like, oh, if I just change this about myself, like I'll fix that problem, or I won't have to be that person anymore because now I've become something else. And that also too isn't always the answers, these external things that Aries tends to kind of focus on, it's like Aries is the first house. Like it's just like it's itself, it's physical external self, on the opposite, well, not on the opposite, but if you think about the 12th house, before we get back to the first house, it's like, it's everything internal and spiritual and inward in that 12th house land, that Pisces land, especially with that moon coming out of Pisces into Aries to conjunct Chiron. It's like we're coming out of that spiritual, internal, introverted place, that God energy, that all the way into this moon in Aries conjunct Chiron, where it's just this head first, like bam, like I'm me. I know who I am. I'm going to express myself however I want, whether you like it or not. But definitely this can bring up some intense emotions towards like how we feel about ourselves and how we look at ourselves and, being too critical of ourselves. So, yeah, and shit, like, I mean, this Mercury is like very close. I mean, definitely coming into Monday, which we'll talk about that on Monday, but this Mercury is hitting 28 degrees on Sunday. and it's gonna make, kind of you know, a very, a very solid. I mean, we're feeling very solid, like in our emotions, especially because Mercury it got off a trine to Neptune, and I mean we're feeling solid and comfortable, and like we're feeling like there's this healing energy going on, but like there's definitely going to be some crazy like thoughts that tend to come up as we're moving into Monday, at the end of Sunday, like this Black Moon Lilith too, like, there's like some passionate feelings coming up that, are coming up in our personal relationships and how we really communicate within them, and could bring up some kind of darker things, that need to be said, need to be discussed. So this Black Moon Lilith energy is definitely like it's intense, it's passionate, it's dark, it's sexy. Like, it could bring up a lot of that kind of energy. And it's necessary to be discussed because it's gonna oppose Pluto as well with this Mercury. So, these more intense, darker things that are gonna come up in our conversations and in our thoughts. They need to be thought about and said and talked about. So, and we'll be able to really mirror each other through these conversations. That's the whole point about these oppositions. Like, it's not like, oh, you're on one side and I'm on the other. Like, it's not what oppositions are supposed to be about. I mean, it can be, if you're not doing the work in an honest, genuine way. But like, really, like these oppositions are supposed to reflect back. It's like, okay, like you're coming from this place, I'm coming from this place. Now I'm aware of where you're coming from, and you're aware of where I'm coming from. And that awareness is the most important thing in relationships, when we are communicating. That awareness of how we communicate, and what we're communicating. So, yeah, this is a really action-packed weekend, and we're really just once again just closing out these cycles that are definitely over the past 18 months. Like, this nodal transition here is the most important aspect of the year, I think. I think a lot of astrologers agree. And yeah, definitely coming into next week, that moon's going to touch the North Node for the last time in Taurus for the next 18 years. So next week is going to be a very big, impactful weekend of like, okay, like we've come this far. We have experienced this karmic playbook, so to say. It's a good way to look at it. The karmic playbook. And now we know where we're headed towards. Well, we're really gonna know where we're headed towards, but definitely the moon's gonna touch that North Node in Taurus for the last time, and that's gonna be a big moment coming into this next week. So, yeah. I hope y'all have a great weekend. Let's pick a card here. And yes, yesterday on my Friday video, my Friday horoscope, like my chart wasn't sharing for some reason. And a couple people reached out and was like, hey, like your chart's not there. What happened? I have no idea. Like, I'm sorry. So I hope it's working today. I do this all completely live. I don't even watch it again. So like, maybe I should double check that next time. So, but I appreciate those who reached out to let me know. So I appreciate all of you for watching this. Since we've been doing this, it's like I've gotten a lot of wonderful comments and things that people have, I really appreciate all the support doing this. So I can't thank you enough. What do we got here? So, I mean, we're definitely leaving things in the past. The Eight of Cups is just like, we're, we're climbing the mountain and we're not looking back, and we have all that we need in place. And, like sometimes the journey can get a little lonely. It could get dark. And in order to, get to the other side, and see the light, like we have to go through the darkness and we have to leave things behind, and that's what, the Eight of Cups really brings up is, just illuminating the past so we can see the past so we have a clearer vision of how to get to the future. So, and sometimes the terrain can be a little tough, like sometimes, we have to kind of fucking kick our shoes off and cross the river just to get to the other side. I definitely have had to do that many times where it's like, you're trying to scale a landscape and there's a big body of water and you just kind of got to fucking shed off everything and hopefully you make it. Sometimes you got to swim, and sometimes gravity can be a little too much and you need a little support to keep yourself just upright and firm, so. But at the end of the day, it's like we know our value, we know where we're going, and we got to be okay with letting things go. And definitely with this Mercury opposite Pluto here, it's like, we're definitely facing those things that like we have to leave behind because they are no longer a part of what the future is going to be. And that's the only way to become aware of our unconscious patterns and behaviors is like just being fully honest with ourselves. So yeah, this is definitely a tide towards the tide. It's a wave coming in and crashing just to clear out, what it used to be. And definitely like, we're gearing up for this nodal shift. And when the nodes come into 0 degrees, like it's the final degree of where the nodes, go, because the nodes go backwards. The nodes, when the nodes change signs, it starts out at 29 degrees and it works its way backwards towards 0 degrees. As every other body, moves, clockwise. So it's this infinite loop that we go through, and the only way to evolve through that and not be stuck is to let things go. So anyway, I hope you all have a great weekend, and I will see you on Monday. Peace.